Realize, man, here's the truth. If you want success in life, now it doesn't matter if you want bigger muscles, bigger bench press, more money, more girls, better social circle. You have to do the right thing over and over and over and over and over and over again until you get to the point where it's automatic when you embody that thing that you're trying to do, when the subconscious takes over and it becomes effortless. But you have to pay the price. You have to do it over and over and over again through this initial stage. So how can we overcome this initial stage of just expanding willpower? Because we all know willpower is a limited resource. We only have so much of it. Well, we have to use an ancient tool called the Ulysses Contract. In Homer's epic poem called the Odyssey, the hero, Odysseus, also known as Ulysses, is on a voyage back home with his men. And he gets to this particularly dangerous part of the journey where there's a bunch of sirens who are said to have sung the most beautiful music anyone has ever heard in their lives. And it's not no Cardi B nonsense, no Lil Nas, no 6ix9ine, none of that shit. It's the most beautiful music ever. The problem is when men hear this music, they dive out of the ships and land on the rocks and just die, right? Or they drown. It's terrible. So Ulysses comes up with a plan. He tells his men to put wax in their ears so that they can't hear the sirens' music, and to tie him up to the front of the boat so that he can't move and jump into the water and has the ability to now listen to the music. The plan works wonderfully, and that's where the term Ulysses Contract comes from. It's also known as a commitment device or Odysseus Pact. It's all the same thing. The general idea is you are making a decision while you're rational, while you don't have anything else corrupting your mind that commits you to a particular action in the future. And you can see how this can be powerful, especially when you're trying to beat bad habits or create good habits. Because the version of you that wants to do these things, the version of you that's rational right now is not the same as the person who has the temptation. It's not the same as the person who's got the donut in their face. It's not the same as the person who's searching up something they probably shouldn't be searching up on the internet. Temptation changes the way we think. And a lot of research is showing that we might have more than one personality inside us, right? You see it very clearly in people with the personality disorders like in the movie Split, but also in the split brain research, it suggests that maybe there's more than one us in us. Consciousness is a complicated thing. So we need to engineer our future behavior before we start sabotaging ourselves. And that's what Ulysses Contract is. I'm going to show you how to do that, but first let's look at some famous and popular examples. The first example is about the author Victor Hugo. Now, Victor Hugo, he was a guy who liked to party. The problem is he had to write this book, and like many of us, he just kept procrastinating. It got serious. He only had 6 months left to write the book, and he hadn't even started. So what he did was he told his assistant to pack all of his clothes into a crate and to lock it up and to give him like a little cloth. And then he locked himself up in a cabin where he continued to write until he was ready to submit on the deadline. So the book he ended up writing was The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Another example happened recently. We all saw Tesla announce the Cybertruck.
Welcome to the Cybertruck unveil. We created an exoskeleton.
They announced the Cybertruck and allowed people to pre-order. You might be wondering, why did they do this when the car wasn't ready to go out yet? The reason they did this is, of course, to get a little bit of funding money, but also to commit themselves to the decision of finishing this car, of making sure that everything goes well, because now they have their reputation on the line. If the Cybertruck never comes to fruition and they don't produce it, they take a hit in their reputation, and that's not good. So now the engineers are working extra hard and make sure everything's A100. Another example is retirement funds used by governments. In Australia, we have what's called a superannuation fund. Every single person that works has to put money into the superannuation. And the idea of this is that it's like a government fund, and when people are 60 or 65, they get the money back after it's done some compounding over the years. This way, people are not broke as a joke by the time they're 65. Because the reality is, if you don't set these measures, people just won't save. People are notoriously known for being short-sighted, myopic, and just not saving, living for the now. And if this system wasn't in place, you'd have a bunch of people at age 65 with nothing to show for their names. In America, I believe it's called a Roth IRA. Other countries have their own schemes. This is a Ulysses contract. Now, you might have gone to the grocery shops before while you were hungry, and you know exactly what happens. You end up buying way too much shit that you don't need. You buy donuts, you buy ice cream, you go to KFC afterwards and get 12 wicked wings. You get the Zinger burger. You get everything that you don't need that you shouldn't be buying because you're not in the right state of mind. So the key is you go to the shops after you've had food, after you've had your dinner, and now you can no longer be influenced by all those goodies. A lot of people, when they join the gym, they pay for the full year in one go. Well, the gyms actually encourage that because that's kind of like a Ulysses contract to ensure that people commit because there's more skin in the game. There's a bigger incentive. You just dropped $800 for the year, you might as well show up a couple of times. So those are just a couple of examples of Ulysses contracts, but you've probably been using them in your life just more in an involuntary way. A lot of us, we put our hands up when someone's like, yo, you're gonna come to my party? We don't really want to go, but there's friends around, people watching, and we say, yes, we're gonna go. But now we've binded ourselves to that decision because we don't want to feel bad about the social pressure of letting people down, of looking like a liar when we said that we would go. Or when we have an assignment due the next day, whether that's for work or whether that's for university or whatever, and we do it the night before. The Ulysses contract in that case is the time constraint. The time constraint forces us to actually do the work. So a lot of us do these things unconsciously, but we want to make the unconscious conscious and come up with an effective way of tackling these goals. So let's do that right now. The first thing you want to do is identify the obstacles that are in your way. When it comes to losing weight, what's the obstacle? Junk food. What's the obstacle? Not going to the gym. These are two very common and easy things to identify. The second thing you do is think about what systems you can employ to make it easier for you to do the thing you're trying to do. So let's start with going to gym. You can take your gym bag and put it right at the door. So when you come back from work, it's like a primer. You see it, it reminds you that you have to go to the gym, and it's right there. You don't have to put any extra effort of packing it up. It's just staring you right in the face, and you're gonna feel really bad for putting it back. So that's a way of changing your environment, creating a system to prime the behavior you want. The next thing you do after that, you add some skin in the game. How can you add skin in the game if you want to go to the gym and lose weight? You make a Facebook post or LinkedIn post or whatever, and you tell people, hey guys, I'm going to go to the gym every single day for the next month. I'm going to be checking in at 7 p.m. with a picture of me. If I don't do that, I'm going to give $100 to this asshole. I'm going to donate this money to this charity I don't believe in, right? You just put some skin in the game. The reason a lot of us don't actually commit to anything that we say is because there's no repercussions of not doing it, right? There's no skin in the game. We don't have an incentive. So you need to create that. And social pressure is, of course, a good one. The fourth thing you have to do is to multiply all these steps, because the more of these variables you have, the harder it's going to be for you to break your promise, to break your contract. So what we could do is ensure that there is no junk food in the house. That's an easy way to stop eating bullshit because there's nothing in the house for you to eat. What we can do is get a training partner that's going to go to the gym with us too. So now you have a social pressure of someone who's actually ready to go to the gym. Better yet, if they come to your house to pick you up, now you don't have to rely on your willpower to go out there because they're going to be outside the house, beeping, ready to go, and you're just going to look at the biggest ass if you just stay in the house eating cookies. So these are ways to make your Ulysses contract stronger and stronger. And you need to think about this in all areas of your life. How can you strategically engineer things to influence your behavior so that your future self has no chance but to do the things you want? And keep in mind, you only have to do this for a while. Eventually, it becomes a part of who you are. It becomes easy. I don't have to think about making these videos. I don't have to create Ulysses contracts to make this content. This channel's got over 300 videos already because this is a part of who I am now. I'm embodying it. And trust me, that's when things get amazing, when they're enjoyable, when they're easy, and your life's just going to change like no other. It's just going to be so easy for you as you just watch yourself go up that ladder of success. I'm telling you, do this, and I promise you'll be one step closer to living and dying well. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell notifications so we can see more of each other. Until next time.